Hello.
Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Suddenly Twenties podcast, episode 3. Woo!
Episode 3. This is our first episode that we will be releasing live.
Yeah, like
How
in
weird is that?
time.
That's
I
great.
know. Here we go. We've now got to start posting them, and hopefully you guys listen to them the whole way through.
I know. I hope you guys enjoyed episode 1 and 2. I feel like we're already learning so much on how to actually speak, like,
Yeah.
in a podcast. Like, I feel like I already listen back and think, oh my God, the first episode. This will be released, Saturday, 10 a.m. So just a recap, we are releasing a new episode every week. Saturday, 10 a.m. They'll be live for you guys to listen. Drinking wet red wine, Steph.
Oh my God. See you
And
later.
so I don't know how long that's been in the fridge for.
Oh.
So I'm like, surely red wine doesn't go off. I don't know if I'm getting like red wine drunk. Shana's being red wine drunk. If you guys listened to our last podcast, you've probably heard the mention of that. That story.
The last
PTSD.
podcast was so funny. You guys need to go listen to it if you haven't. It was just like absolute banter with the boys.
Absolute chaos.
Yeah, all the things that we shared, it was like the four of us were hanging out together, and it would be like, I can't share that on the podcast, and then we'd just go off on this like half an hour long tangent about weird stories that we couldn't share publicly.
Friendships, but specifically toxic friendships.
Yes, I definitely feel like the topic is very, I don't want to say in at the moment, but I feel like the word toxic friendships, this is just getting straight into it, but I feel like the word toxic friendships is just, or toxic relationships, or that word toxic is just so in at the moment. Like,
yeah,
it's just like that person's so toxic, or that relationship was so toxic, or my toxic ex did this. And while I think that it brings to light how manipulative, or not manipulative, but how unhealthy a relationship can be, I think that it also is so like easily thrown around that we really want to bring it back to like what the core of a toxic friendship actually means, rather than just calling someone toxic, which is not really nice.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's such, I feel like I don't know if it's because we're actually in our 20s and it's just more experienced in our 20s. Yeah. Or that it's just like a common word now, but it is such a big part of your 20s. Like, people are changing, like everyone's changing interests, like people move away, some people like go to uni, some people move for a job, like I don't know, like people change positive and negatively. I think we're more focusing on like the negative in friendship, like in friendships. But so I feel like it's just such a big part of your 20s that friendships are changing. But yeah,
definitely. Well, do we want to kick it off?
Yeah, I think I feel like I have to say, like, it's not to like this episode isn't to bring like toxic people down. It's more to like help recognize the relationship is toxic and how to deal with it, and how to like more choose yourself rather than hold on to people in your life that you don't need anymore. And it might not be because it might not be because of the person. It just might be because you don't work together anymore. Like you grow, you change, like different interests. You just might not be like meant to be friends anymore. And that's what we want to like normalize because that's what happens after high school for anyone younger and listening to this. Yeah, we want to prepare you for it and normalize it, as it is like sad, like thinking like back in school you're like, oh, my best friend, we're going to be best friends forever, or like my friendship group, we're going to have that friendship group for ages. And people do have that, and that's so great and so lucky. And that's like, I love hearing that when you're still friends with like your high school friends, but sometimes that's just not the case. And I feel like you deserve friends that support you and like bring you up. And I feel like we're going to cover like how to like deal with it, steer clear of it, and like
recognize it. Like I feel like that's just the biggest part. Like the stories that I hear, it's just, like whether it's online or in person, and it's just like I feel like it's people really don't recognize it. And I feel like one of my biggest opinions on the topic is that the way that we approach, like just kind of at a psychological level, or biological level, the way that we deal with relationships, like an intimate partner relationship, dating, etc., and the way we deal with friendships is actually the same. You know, like, yes, we are going to like we are sexually attracted to one, and we are going to like marry them and have children with them and, you know, die old with them. But at the end of the day, the dynamics and the psychological, like the relationships within them are very similar. And it's like, you can break up with a partner and move on, but for some reason there's this sort of like, you're friends with your friends your whole life, and you kind of put up with stuff that you wouldn't actually put up with in a relationship too. Like, you date people, you grow apart, but like, people don't acknowledge that friends grow apart.
Yeah, so, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like, there are those friend breakups, but I feel like even in some cases it's more weird because it's like not normalized. Like, I feel like it's so hard to like step away from that person or that group because you're like, oh, you've been friends forever. Like, what do you mean you don't want to be friends with us? You know what I mean? Like, people change interests. Like, it's what happens. And like, it doesn't mean that one person is the cause. It just means that you just grow apart, and it's still, you guys can still be like on like a talking level and still be civil. It doesn't mean anything has to hopefully drastic happen. But but I feel like it's going to be, I feel like it's very common in your 20s. Like, there's so much change, and that's why we're here to talk about all these things. And we're literally only 22 and 23. And I feel like we're here to help people like that at our age to relate. And I feel like a lot of people will relate to this. And also, 100%. To help like younger people, like looking up to us and listening to this podcast, and knowing like if they are sensing this already or like starting to go through it, they're like, okay, like this happens, like my we're all moving away from uni, what am I going to do? Like, or this person's not like doesn't really support me anymore, or
oh my god, let's go.
So how, Steph, would you like define a toxic friend?
Okay, bringing it back to kind of what we were saying before, and this is like the most important thing I want to emphasize in this podcast episode today, is that it's like, if you have a friend who you're saying they're toxic, or if you have other friends who are saying that person is toxic for you, just remember that it's not their fault and it's not that person. It is the dynamic of your friendship. So like, don't go like, you know, swinging
that's
these
what
words
I mean
around.
about like it's not always the person. It's just you might not be like connecting at this point anymore.
And so I suppose like it's hard because I think it depends on what people need in a friendship. Like
it's kind of like the friend love language. Friendship language. Are we starting that? Is that a thing?
Friendship language. I love it. Literally, you've got your love language and you've got your friendship language. And I mean, oh my God, I just feel like I have so many points that I want to share that I'm kind of just like spinning them through my head. And I'm like,
where do I start?
Am I pulling out right now? Like,
spill it all.
No, I like actually don't know where to start. I just need to pick one randomly, and it's almost going to sound like it's not relevant because it's like there's too many things I want to say. But I think that every relationship is about having like similar core values and similar interests, and that's one of the things about like growing apart, is that people change. Like, oh my God, who I was 2 years ago versus who I was 5 years ago, especially through your 20s, as life changes and people start going off on these different pathways. Like, you know how like change is not a bad thing in either person, and not change is also not a bad thing because people take their own time. You don't know what they're going through. Like, just let everyone progress at their own rate. But it's as simple as like, you know, if a friend goes through a breakup or something and then they start having different interests, like one wants to go, you know, on girls' weekends away and like girls' trips without boys, and like that is like the honest truth is that becomes really hard when another person is in a relationship still, and like that change can affect relationships, and then people will say
the
that
dynamic
person's
of
toxic.
the friendship.
And the truth is that people's pathways took a turn at no one's fault, but your interests and what you want to spend your time doing are a bit different. And
that is so common. I've seen that like recently too, when like you're used to being in like a group where you're single, everyone's single, and then someone gets a boyfriend and you're like, the dynamic is completely thrown. Like that one person is now like semi like in a relationship, and it's just, you're not used to it. You're like, what do you mean you're not coming out for like girls' drinks? Or like, what do you mean you're not coming to the pub? You know, like, but it's like, it's now you're on a different path. Like it can change that quickly. And obviously that doesn't mean the friendship has to end. It just means it's like your friendship just changes a bit then, and you just can like adjust. So
and if it becomes so bad that you become unhappy, it's also okay to look after yourself and to take a step back. Like, and it doesn't need to be, you don't need to do it in this sort of bitchy way where it's like, oh my God, like this person started dating this guy and now she never hangs out with us and like only wants to hang out with us when like her boyfriend isn't like there, you know, like let them do what they want to do, like, you know, and also but at the end of the day,
like think about like if you're in their shoes, like obviously I don't know why we're talking about the girlfriend boyfriend like example, but like this fresh relationship is, everyone's going to do the same thing. They're going to be hanging out with them 24/7, like, and it'll just like, it's just time to adjust. But I feel like throwing it back to like the definition of toxic friendships, I feel like what comes to my head, I just feel like it's just someone that just doesn't support you. And like I just feel like that's such a big thing, is the support and like like the judgment. If someone's judging you about things, like obviously there should be some advice given by every friend, or like by all your friends, but the judgment and like the jealousy, I think
jealousy shows, like, and like bringing you down, like if you do something good and then they bring you down because they're competitive or because then they can't physically be happy for your success, even if it's that, oh, like, you know, I get it because they're really insecure about like XYZ, but it doesn't really, if it makes you unhappy, it makes you unhappy. And if that's what you need in a friend, then, you know, it's not okay.
But I think that's where we're like tying it all. That's what we're trying to say. It's like, if you're unhappy, like if you're unhappy in a relationship, you're like, there's something wrong. If you're unhappy in a friendship, it's exactly the same. Like, you've grown apart, or you're different now, or like, you know, if your friends aren't hyping you up, supporting you, like literally giving you the best vibes every single day, you need to get
see you later. Literally see them later. Like see them never again.
See you later, girlfriend. But I don't know. So, but then like, but anyway, do you have any experiences with toxic friends? Like, obviously you don't have to go into detail, but you know, like, what do you like, have you commonly seen like anything like we just defined it as not supportive or like stuff like that? Have you
I've definitely found, now keeping this in mind, I am where I am on like my, you know, personal development journey right now. You know, so me saying this is like reflecting from where I am now. But like with my friendships in the past, I've definitely found that I've experienced like a lack of support and like jealousy and competitiveness, and like I think that's like a natural trait for people, but I am like so not a competitive person. Like you can't even catch me playing a freaking team sport because I'm like not competitive, and people hate playing sport with me because I'm like, oh, but like, I don't know, I feel bad, you know, or I just don't care. Like it's not in my nature to be a competitive person. So I find, especially now after like thinking more about it, I definitely clash with people who have very dominant competitive personalities, you know?
Yeah.
And because I find that then often competitiveness sort of comes from like a place of insecurity and can be displayed as jealousy. And then all of those character traits can, our phones are both going off at the same time.
That's like
all of those character traits, all of those character traits can really rub people off the wrong way. I think that they are things that people really should try and be conscious of. Like, I try to think all the time about whether I express jealousy. And I think it's okay because it's natural, but you need to like think about it. Like, if I would, and don't get me wrong, I'm jealous with Sam or something like that. But I try to think about it, and it's like, where is that coming from? Often from a place of insecurity.
Yes.
And I just don't think that's healthy because it turns into resentment, which comes out in so many other ways. And then it also turns into bringing someone down, and like, you're not genuinely happy for them. And you might think you're pretending to be, but they know you're not,
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, how like you're not a competitive person and like other people might be, that just shows that you're different people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
the reason that certain friendships don't work though with that dynamic is because it's not because they're competitive. It's because a competitive personality or dominant personality does not work with my personality, which is very sensitive. Like, I'm very sensitive and like not competitive. So it just clashes. And I truly cannot comprehend competitiveness. Like, it's not a trait that I experience even in sport. Like, you don't find me watching team sport and being like, yes, I want my team to go. I'm like, that team's losing, I feel bad for them. And so it just means that like it all doesn't work, not because they're like being competitive is a bad trait, but because I am too sensitive and I can't cop shit, essentially. I'm just like, why don't you love me?
No. But like, you're so self-aware of it as well that I feel like a lot of people aren't aware that what they're doing is toxic for their friendship. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, like they might not be knowing that by them doing that is coming from a place of where they're like their insecurity. So I feel like once you start to like learn about yourself, which is like a journey through your 20s, you start to like understand like how other people are feeling and everything. So
anyway, back to whatever you were saying.
I just feel like, I don't know, it like fully grinds my gears, like talking about people that, I think the main one for me is like the non-supportive part, like, because it comes from like, unless you're not supporting because you think it's wrong, it like the only reason why you wouldn't support your friend is if you're jealous. Like, it literally, I swear, like, do you agree? Or like, am I?
No, I can't think of another reason. Like, I feel like there is literally no other reason other than jealousy when people aren't supported.
Yeah, and not like as in, oh my God, you're so jealous of me and like what I'm doing. Like, not that at all. I mean, like, what we're trying to say is like it's an insecurity of that person. Like, it literally could be like, oh, I'm not achieving my goals, but they are. Or I'm not doing this at work and they're able to do this. Or it's more like a that type of insecurity, jealousy, not a I'm jealous of you itself.
Yeah, and someone like having the courage to, I mean, let's just put it out here, right? Shana and I both have obviously like side hustle things, a podcast is one of them. A modeling career is Shana's, as well as like Instagram and stuff. And then mine is YouTube. And that, like, straight up, everyone would know and understand that there is backlash with doing certain things like that. There are people who just can't be supportive of it. And to be honest, I will just openly say that there are people who I know who I used to be really close with who have not said a fucking word, like not an ounce of support. I'm like, I know that's really awkward to say, but it's the truth, right? Like, not an ounce. People who just...
But also those people will know that they're not doing that. Surely.
Exactly. Yeah, like they're consciously choosing not to
That's the
because
issue.
I put it everywhere. And that is, I think, one of my least favorite things about like doing something that's different is you like, not that I'm doing it for people's support, but it's like,
Yeah.
I can't imagine why you wouldn't be supportive of something.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Do you need to like go get some help, babe? Sorry.
But like, I know, I get what you mean. And that's what I mean by like people changing in their 20s. Like we completely, like we weren't doing this a couple of years ago. So when we do announce that we're doing it, it's completely different to like your friendship group or the people around you. And you're like, oh, like what's going on? And that might not like sit well with some people. And that's where you go, okay, these people aren't for me right now then. And that's okay. It just means like we're different.
And you just take a step away. Yeah,
and if you're not like going to support or like encourage or whatever, then why have like them in your life? Because they're constantly like in a way bringing you down because you want them to be like congrats and like because they're your friends, but and if they're not giving that to you, then you're like oh, I thought you were my friends. But
I've definitely like, I will admit there's been times where I've like announced something on my Instagram about YouTube, and I will look and see, like, it's just, this is one of the horrible things about growing up with social media is I'll look and see who's looked at my story, and sometimes I'm like, oh, you know, like they've like just clicked on it and moved past, and like just people who I would have thought would be like, go you, because I just feel like I'm so happy for everyone, every success in their life. I can't think of anything, even if I'm jealous, like don't get me wrong, say that I'm like, I don't know, say like I can still be happy for someone and be like, oh my God, I'm so happy for you. Like it crushes me a little bit that I didn't get that job or something, you know, but there's still got to be a place where you're happy for someone. And if you're not happy for your friend, like, please just like, take some time for yourself.
Yeah, like this is all coming back to like you are friends, like you're meant to be friends. So like, where is that like positivity? Like, but
and what you expect from friendships, you should definitely make sure you're giving, because like you that's what makes a toxic friendship. Actually, going back to the definition, is one-sided friendships where people put in significantly more effort, and then other people just seem to. And it's fair enough, like, you know, people go through like some tough shit and sometimes can't. Like,
and like lives can be busy.
Yeah, you know, but at the end of the day, I certainly watched from an outsider's perspective a lot of friendships that have similar issues day after day, year after year. And it's like there comes a point where it is unhealthy because, you know, often people try and talk about it. Friends communicate too. And if you don't, that's another topic to discuss later, how to communicate about it. But if you are doing it and there's no change, it's the same as a relationship. Like you talk about what you need from your partner and then you break up if it doesn't work, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same with friends, but that's like a hard topic because it's like we're doing a long distance friendship. So we are literally living our best lives in like, how far away are we? We're like 12 hours drive. There's a difference between you like talking every day or not talking every day. Like I feel like you don't have to, well, I feel like you definitely don't have to talk every day as long as it's like a healthy relationship. Do you know what I mean? I see all these memes on Facebook where it's like, tag your friend that you haven't spoken to in like a month, but you're still best friends. It's like, that's what happens. Like life gets like busy, people change, like, but you can still put the effort in to like keep in contact with them in a healthy way rather than like an unhealthy way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know if that made sense.
Yeah. No, I think it does. And like, I think we were going to have one of our good friends, Eliza, come on and chat about this topic with us. But what I was actually saying to her the other day is that back onto like the friendship love language. What do we call it? Friendship language.
Friendship language.
Yeah. Back onto
Are we trademarking that?
Yeah. Like one really interesting area that I see a lot of relationship issues like friendship issues, sort of arise is communication. So like Eliza and I were talking the other day about how people are different. Like I fully admit, like probably my worst friendship flaw is that I absolutely suck at replying. Like I can't do it.
Yeah,
Everyone
she
hates
does.
me. Like I'm so bad.
I only talk to Steph on Snapchat because she won't reply to me like any other platform. No, that's a lie.
I don't know what it is. I swear,
No,
I mainly. Nah.
We actually talk on like every platform.
Yeah.
Like we actually have 3 conversations going.
Yeah. But that's like rare. I don't know. Like I was saying to Eliza that like, you know, she is a very like the way she communicates is different to me, for instance, and then different to the way other people communicate. Some people are all about face to face. That's me personally. Like I can't even kind of believe Shana and I are still friends because like I don't do long distance very well, to be honest. Like I'm just fully admitting that because I'm a face to face person, I would just rather like not see someone for 3 weeks and then catch up with them in person and be like, what's up, bitch? Like, tell me all about your life. Where there are other people who are like phone call people, you know, those ones who just call you out of nowhere. And I'm like, who died? Like, don't you do that without warning me? But that's just how they communicate. And then you've got others who like text and they're like, I'm like the kind of person who cannot text about some random conversation. Like, you know, where you're like, how are you? Like, you know, how was your day? I can't do that. You won't see me do that because I just don't have the time. And it's just not how I communicate. I'd rather wait till the weekend and like update you on a whole week rather than chat every day through text. But some people are like that. And I think that you need to match in that or at least communicate about it.
Communicate. Exactly. Like I feel like a healthy friendship, you like communicate and understand, like, because we are completely different in like like not necessarily communicating, but like staying in touch. Like I'm way more on my phone like than you are, but like I understand that you're not always on your phone. We are similar in a way where like we don't need constant messaging to stay friends. Like a healthy relationship like understands each other and communicates like that's whereas like the toxic ones like will create drama out of you not replying 100%. Pretty much to a T, full stop, period.
That's literally
do you know what I mean? That's the difference.
It's that, and they won't communicate with you healthily. Like it'll be, as you said, drama, it'll be bitchy, it'll be like, or it'll either be bitchy if you've got the dominant personalities, or it'll be extremely passive and through resentment. But they're the true qualities that you need to watch out for in friendships, because once resentment, like passive aggressive resentment comes through, or bitchiness,
that is like, who do you think you are? Like,
well, it's just so
what's the
unhealthy.
point of this? And like unnecessary.
It's just like if I was doing that to people, like being passive, being resentful, or if I was being bitchy, I can bet your fucking ass that I would catch myself doing that. I mean, I say like one tiny bitchy thing and I actually feel sick in my stomach for 3 days. And I'll often have to text someone and be like, fuck, I didn't mean it like that. I'm so sorry. Where some people just can be actually so mean to others. Like people they consider friends who they want there to support them. They can be so mean and just not reflect on their actions until they're called out on it and like make up some lie being like, it's, you know, I'm so sorry.
And I feel like that even goes back to like them not even understanding like themselves.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's all about
not picking up on that, like self-aware. But
which
that is like a few things to look out for.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
If your friends are being bitchy to you 24/7, I'm sorry, that's not healthy. Like, friends aren't meant to do that. I mean, if it's constantly drama, like constantly bitchiness when you're trying to be like friends and stuff, like, oh. And I mean bitchiness as in like involved in you two, like involved in the friends. Like obviously, like if it's about something else, whatever, but like if it's between you guys all the time, like having arguments and like being dragged down by each other, like that's not a good friendship. Like you deserve people that lift you up.
You actually just made me realize that another topic I really want to emphasize on here is to listen to the way your friends talk about other people. Like, truly.
Yes, this is a massive toxic friendship, like, trait.
Yeah.
Like,
if they're bitching, talking down, being like, oh, like, you know, they're not going to do this and that, like, that is not. And like, fair enough if like someone says it about one person who maybe they've had like really bad issues with, but when they start saying about like their closest friends who they go be like besties with afterwards, just think like, what are they possibly saying about you?
Yourself. Like, exactly. I think that's like the biggest thing, like what, and that just shows like what more of a person that person is than who they're talking about or bitching about.
Yeah. Because you should be saying nice things about your friends and being like, oh my God, like, did you hear that Freya and Eliza got engaged? Like, it's so amazing. Like, you know, I'm so happy for them. Like, and if you're concerned about someone too, like if I was concerned about someone's well-being, that's different from like bringing them down, you know? Like if I'm just saying, oh, like they're not doing very well, like they're doing X, Y, Z, you know, but it's just when they're pulling them down, being like, that ring is so ugly. Like, I would never accept that if my boyfriend proposed to me with that ring. No one said that. I just made that up, by the way.
Just FYI.
just
hypothetical.
This whole thing is hypothetical.
But we do have the engagements. That was true. So,
that was
weddings.
Yeah.
2022 weddings.
Yeah. So exciting.
Not us. Well, I am actually still really close to my high school friends. So that's what we mean about everyone's different and everyone's on like a different life path and every friendship group's different. Like 5 of us went on our own path. Like all of us moved away at like different times. A few of us have moved back. Like we're literally on our own journey, but we still keep in contact. That is very lucky. That doesn't always happen. And I don't think that has happened with you, Steph. You've been to a lot of different high schools, so.
Yeah, I was just thinking that actually as you were saying that. I'm like, technically, I'm friends with, I'm dating someone I went to high school with, but, and like still friends with some people, but also other people I've like grown more distant from. And then some people I quite literally don't talk to at all. Some of those people who I went to high school with have blocked me, you know?
Blocked you?
Yeah.
Wow. That is so extreme. I don't think I have anyone blocked.
It was like that. That's not someone that like anyone here would know. But that was like a case that I only just recently realized that. And it's actually a case where I've truly reflected on my actions. And while I don't think I necessarily did anything wrong, I was asked for something or like more effort, to put more effort in. And at the time I was definitely not in the place to do that. And I fully admit that I should have tried harder, I suppose.
If this is happening where like your friendship isn't healthy and you feel like this certain way, then reflect on like your actions as well, because it could be coming from you as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it might not be the other person. It might be some of your actions and how you guys communicate. And
100%. Definitely, as Shana said before, been through. I sound like that girl that just goes through like thousands of friends and can't keep any friends, but I like moved from school to school. And so I had to kind of like move on. And the amount of friends that if I was to stay friends with every person that I was close with at all the different like 11 schools or something, I would have too many friends. Like I can't physically spread myself that thin. So people have had to lose my friendship, or I've had to distance myself from people, not because they're unhealthy, but because it is just time to move on.
Yeah. And that's what we're saying, like time to move on. Like sometimes like friendships don't last forever. And that's very common after high school. Very common.
Oh, so common. And like if I hadn't gone, because I went to Radford and then I went to Indonesia for a year to do year 12. And then I came back to do uni in Canberra with like all those same friends. But truly, if I hadn't come back for those people, I would no longer be friends with anyone. Like I wouldn't know Shana. I wouldn't know anyone. because that's just what it's like. And anyone listening to this who moved around as a kid would completely relate to that. Like, you just can't. It's not possible. There's always a few people that I've like stayed in connections with, but I know that the old me, even the current me, has lost friendships because I can't put enough effort in. And I think that just ties back to like the fact that your communication methods are different. Like, I'd rather just see someone once every 6 months and catch up. And there's only so much, like, you've got to be real when someone tells you that they're not happy with what you're doing too. Like, I try to be really honest and be like, I hear you and I understand, but there's actually only so much I can do. Like, unless I put all my eggs in their basket, you can't maintain that. And that's not healthy. I don't personally think. I used to approach friendships where I was like, oh my God, like, you're my one bestie and I've got my one like boyfriend, you know, and I'd always just go through two people.
I feel like you grow up and you're like, oh my God, my high school friends are going to be like my best friends forever. And like, I feel like that's what we're like, for younger people that are listening, like, don't be afraid if that doesn't happen, because there are, how many people are in this world? Like, billions.
7 billion or something. Yeah.
Like, you have met, how many people are at high school? Like 300. You have met what? And how many years? How many are in your friendship group? Like 20. You have met 20 people you have been like like classified as friends with. Like, there are so many people that are out there. Like, and if you're not like connecting in a way that your interests have changed, there are so many people that are probably doing the same thing as you and that you can be friends with. Like, and if you do follow that path, then you meet those people and then you have healthy friends that are doing the same thing, supporting you, not being jealous, like, and all that. So,
and it all just aligns with who you are. Like 3 years ago, and I'm just using that example, or I'm going to say 3.5 years ago now, I was in a different relationship. I was friends with, I suppose, closer friends with a totally different, like, I'm still in the same like larger friendship group, but my closer friends were just completely different people to who they are now. And the truth is that I have changed. And I reckon people would reflect and probably say like, literally, who's this bitch? And I'm like, well, who I was then was a very, very sad person, you know? So I've done what I need to do, because that's what we've got to do in life, guys. Like, you just don't be mean about it, but go put yourself first. And if you need to change a few people in your life, including relationships, to find the best version of you. Yeah, like, if they're going to pull you down, and like, if they're going to stop you from changing into who you are or not support the new person that you are, then that's not healthy. And like, I just think that, like, if I was to mention who my closest friends are at the moment, like, they all are people who give me things that I didn't need back then, or maybe I did, but I didn't know that I wanted. And like, like Shana is someone who will just hang out with me, like, and we can just have the best time, like, always laugh, both like not super into drama or anything, like, we can just have a blast. Plus we have like the same interests. And then I'm really close with like Demi and Bridget at the moment, and something I love about them is that they want to go on adventures. And I always used to be so sad because I felt like I never had any girlfriends who like wanted to like go away to Sydney or like go just out for cocktails. And like, that's something that I really enjoy about them that I never used to get from old friendships. And like, you know, Eliza is the most kind, sensitive person ever. And it's just like really refreshing to just have that kind of like ray of sunshine in life, you know? And I could just go on for all those people, but like, but there's something good about everyone in your life. And I couldn't say a bad thing about someone who I consider a close friend at the moment.
And all like your close friends don't have to be in the one circle either. Like, you're friends with different people for different reasons as well. So I was going to I was going to ask what would be your advice for like people coming out of high school, but I feel like we've pretty much answered it throughout this whole thing. And like I feel like you just answered it then, and was pretty much like, choose your people, like choose your friends who like want to be your friend for the right reasons, like and show you that.
I swear, my biggest point, and this is in so many ways. Like, this is coming up a lot at the moment with people getting engaged, is like, who do you choose to be your bridesmaids? It's just such a
Oh
big
my
thing.
gosh.
But like, we shouldn't wait till that point. Like, choose who. Don't just wait till you're engaged and be like, fuck, who do I choose to be my bridesmaids or my groomsmen? It's like, your close friendship circle, like I've got my close friends, and then I've got like a wider network, and there's so many different layers to friendships, which is what makes me feel so fulfilled, you know. It's just like, you've got to have your close friendships, and I think that don't base it on history. That is my piece of advice, is just because you were friends in high school does not mean that they are friends for you right now, that they're good for you. Like, do not think that that means that history, or like, we went through this together, we went through that. It doesn't mean that they are right for you now. Yeah.
And like, don't be scared about like friendships ending. Like, if in these situations, in a toxic friendship situation, the best thing for you almost is that friendship ending. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're almost like, if they are toxic, if it is a toxic friendship, they are holding you back, like, or pulling you down. Like, we're talking about toxic people here, you know? So as soon as you let that go and realize that that is a norm, like friendships to end, like.
One of the things, like, we're sitting here saying like, distance yourself, do this and that, but I think addressing how is really important, because like, unlike a relationship, you don't get to be like, hey, Shana, like, I'm so sorry, like, we've communicated and like, I can't do this anymore. Like, friendships are so much more complicated than relationships. There's no, we're official, we're not. Like, people still think
that exactly. Like, there's none of that
friends and not friends, and like, no one knows, and no one's like, oh shit, like, they're no longer official on Facebook, so they're not friends anymore.
So how do you go about like ending toxic friendships? Like, did you do it a certain way, or like, would you change the way you did it? Or
I think that it's all about communication too. So I can reflect on even some relationships of people that I'm not that close with, who I still think that the communication was like on fucking point. Like, I had this friend in the past who we used to like write dot points and go and sit down and talk and read them off and let each other speak. And I'm not going to lie, that's just who I am as a person. I do that with Sam, like, you know, and that was just
a person.
Oh yeah, like, and this person was also very similar in that way. So like, when we discussed it, but the issue is we didn't do that enough. I think that it's such a good way to communicate, like, rather than building it up and like fighting or let it, like, you know. And while I think every now and then, like, chatting in person is one thing, but I completely understand, and often I hate doing it in person just because, like, in the moment, like, someone will say something to me and I'm like, oh fuck, like, I've got to process my emotions for 10 minutes just to like think about the fact that they're like, you didn't like talk to me enough. And I'll be like, I can't just respond to that. Like, I actually sometimes think texting can be a good way to do it, because you get time to process, so long as you're both on the same page. And it's like, you send one of those huge paragraphs and then you're like, they can take 2 days, like, no pressure, take your time, process your emotions. But at the same time, I think that things can be so misconstrued on text.
I do distance myself from people who do have like a bit of that trait. I feel like if you're not supportive, or like, I feel like full stop, if you're not supportive, you're my friend, you're not giving me like those vibes that you're like happy for me and like hyping me up about this. So I'm gonna like distance myself a bit and be like a bit more like, okay, you probably don't give a fuck, so I'm not gonna like talk to you about that anymore. Do you know what I mean? So I more just like distance myself away from those people.
Mainly like that too. I think, like, as much as I say that I like sit down and communicate with people, although I think I'm more and more becoming like that. I used to be very not like that. I think, like, on what you're saying, Shana, if you were to view, for instance, like a friendship, say you've got like 4 different like core needs that you need from someone. People need to align, like, even if it's alcohol drinking or like doing drugs or whatever it is that people do that don't align sometimes you can kind of make it pass. But let's just say, so like,
I see what you're saying. You're saying that you don't have to like, you have your main core values of a friendship. Not all of them have to be met, but the main ones do.
Yeah. And like, just say, like, it is like, it would be literally like 1 million different core values. My point is more that if we had just 4 main core values and one of your friends couldn't like satisfy that, they're only giving you 75% of what you need from a friendship. And like, the less that they give you, so support is one of them, you know, like, especially for you and me, Shana, we're doing different things. Like, we really need supportive friends. I so greatly appreciate people who support me.
Point in life where like everyone's on a different path, that there's so much change that support is needed for everyone.
Yeah, 100%. And like, excitement and like the lack of competitiveness is a really big one for me. And like, so say someone wasn't supportive of like my YouTube channel and my side passion, and then say that like they also were super jealous, I'm getting 50% from them. Right? But I get to look at the friendship and say, I'm only getting 50% of what I personally want from a friend, right? Am I going to keep giving them 100%? Because the answer should be no. You're going to ruin yourself. You're going to tire yourself out. It's going to turn into resentment from your own part. That's when it's toxic. So you either say, am I giving 50% back? So am I just going to try and tone down the amount of effort I put in? Or are you going to distance yourself because you know that you can get 100% from a few other people if you put that other 50% you could give into someone else? And I feel like that is the way I view friendships, is like, what do you get? Does it align? And
like what you're giving, are you getting?
Yeah.
Like, are you getting in return what you're giving to them?
Yeah. And like, it might not be in the same like values, like core value areas, but like, I have a few kind of ones that I just can't compromise on. Like, if someone's not supportive, I'm just like, I don't really like you.
I think we have like the same ones.
Yeah. Well, that's how you and me are still friends, like after so long and after doing such long distance stuff, is we're so supportive of each other. You know?
Exactly. That's what you need. But yeah, I do want to reinstate that like, it's not, this episode isn't about like bringing like the toxic people down. It's more like help you guys on how to recognize these relationships, to recognize that friendships do end, and recognize those unhealthy relationships coming out of high school, and to help deal with those relationships, and to like choose yourself. Your life will be so much better. Like, I can't even deal like friendship groups are like constantly like bitching and talking about drama. I'm just like, that is like so draining. Like, I can't use my energy on that, I feel. Like, there's definitely a difference between a vent. Like, everyone vents. Like, there's a difference between a bitch and a vent. But having positive people in your life, and like, I feel like this episode, we have like shown you like what to look out for, and in choosing those people and staying clear of the other people. But yeah, and to not have to like hold, just because your friends are in school doesn't mean you have to hold on to them for life. Like, don't be scared that you're not going to be life friends with them. Or you might be, like, you might rekindle down the track. It just might not be your time. It's just like literally like relationships. It just might not be like your time. You might just be on different paths and rekindle in the future. But it's just like not to be scared of people come in and out of your life all the time. People are going to be moving away. You're going to be traveling, moving to different cities. You're going to meet so many more people than people in like high school. So like, literally like look forward to that. Like, and there are so many people in the world.
Yeah, like your friendships, like if you are 17, 18 coming out of high school, if you're 14, like still applies. If you're 28, still applies. That your friends will change, like constantly, and people just don't recognize that. Like, even friends who are friends with their high school friends have different friends. They're not as close. Your high school bestie is probably still not who you don't love each other as much as you like. You might love them,
it's
but
different.
You're not saying that you're going to live in the same house on the same street or something anymore. Like you said to your primary school best friend, like it all changes, and it's totally okay. And one good thing about like a friendship versus a relationship is that while you can't like kind of end a friendship as easily like you can in a relationship, you also have the freedom to just distance yourself without the kind of big drama or like you can just like, I have friends who sometimes I just need a few months to like, you know, just process things. Like and where we might not align on the same values, and I can easily come back in a few months and just be like, you know, like I feel like I just take step backs like and forward with different people at different times, and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I think that's healthy for me because it doesn't lead to like some deep long friendship of resentment. So just know that you can always step back and just maybe say no a few times to hanging out and just go hang out with some other friends. That's actually one of my biggest points, is to just like find some other
different
friends.
people.
If you've only got one. Yeah, different like friendship groups too.
Different friendship groups. You might have uni friends. You might have like a sporting friend. You might have like a work job, work friends, job friends, work friends. Like they're the best ones because you have like a heap of different range. Like everyone's so different. So
that it means like if one friendship group isn't busy, you can go see other friendships.
Exactly.
And you shouldn't be not allowing your other friends to hang out with like their work friends, and same with you. Like just kind of like don't put all your eggs in one basket like through your 20s. It's not healthy anymore. Like yes, in high school
you're not relying on
that
one
group
person
every day.
Yeah, exactly.
And so and just reflect on yourself is probably my biggest message too. Like take one thing from today is to just take some time after this to think, am I giving to people what I expect back? Because it's really important to reflect too.
Yeah, exactly.
Because no one's perfect.
Like, exactly. No one's perfect. Like it takes two people to be in a friendship. Like
yeah. Cheers to that, guys.
Cheers to that.
Have a drink with your friends. Woo!
Well, we're actually filming on a Friday. Usually, I mean, from next week, our recording will be Wednesday. But cheers to Friday and healthy friends.
I'll still get
healthy. Well, this episode is live. I'll post a story and then you guys can choose our next episode.
Yes, that is so exciting. Oh my God, like please get involved. We've just talked about supportive and unsupportive people. Please support us, truly. Like support us, we'll support you back. Like, you know, just keep the love flowing, guys.
The love.
Get involved.
Yeah. The positivity.
But next week is health, by the way. So
health and well-being, yes.
Yeah, get your brain thinking about different health, whether you want us to talk about like mental health, physical health, sexual health, women's health, pregnancy health. Don't know anything, but you know.
Like obviously the name is like Suddenly 20s. We're talking about growing up in your 20s, learning, growing, accepting things change, like the chaos that happens when becoming an adult. Like we're literally going from high school to like your 20s in a couple of years, and you're an adult in like overnight. You're like, where did my childhood go? But and like we're going to talk about like we'll be sharing what we have learned and like what we're going through. Like only being 22 and 23, like we want people our age to relate to, and like people younger to give advice for. Like we want to just like normalize topics that aren't spoken about enough, I feel.
Like today, like who really talks about toxic friendships like in such a, I think like a normalized way. Like we don't want to be like waiting for a dilemma to come in or something and be like, nah, fuck them off, like they're not for you, girl, like put them in the bin kind of thing. Like it's just like we're encouraging healthy relationships, healthy friendships, healthy communication, healthy health and well-being, you know?
That's exactly. We're normalizing, like this literally happens. Everyone experiences friendship changes. Everyone changes in life. Like people aren't going to be friends forever. And we're like, well, I'm excited. Next episode's health and well-being. But you guys will decide that topic. So definitely jump on Instagram, follow our Instagram. We'll have a post every Monday asking you what topics you want to talk about. So stay tuned. You guys will be listening to this, and then 2 days after, you guys will choose the next topic. So also subscribe to our YouTube. You can watch us on YouTube. You can literally watch what you're listening to on YouTube. We're on Apple and Spotify as well. Don't forget to rate us 5 stars. That helps us out so much. So please rate us
and download the episode.
Yes, download us. But and also stay tuned. We're coming out with a vlog. Steph, do you want to elaborate?
Yeah. So I mean, if we haven't gathered, like Shana is sort of more responsible for the Instagram side because that's her forte, and I do the YouTube and like editing side of things. So we are going to have a vlog come out on like how we started a podcast, and we'll definitely have a lot more too, like over New Year's and stuff when we're hanging out. We'll do like combined vlogs, and sort of you'll get to see like Instagram will be your live, current, up to date what we're posting and things, but then YouTube will be like some serious behind the scenes. Like we'll talk about how we edit, like if you're thinking about starting it, like, you know, just lots of different things, like visually too, because
you want to see our faces. But I'm excited for that vlog. That will be fun. That will be coming out in the next couple of weeks. So you'll see how we put this all together, how long it took and how COVID like stuffed us around, but we ended up just diving in and getting there. But this is our little fun side hustle project. So it's exciting.
Like we see you, and we see you all, like when you're commenting, like even just on our personal accounts too, like we're so grateful for your support. And even if we're not like besties, like I just cannot express how much I like truly go to sleep at night and I think about you guys like randomly when I'm in the shower, and I'm like, fuck, that was so nice when that person did that.
So literally a like, a follow, a listen, like a share, like a DM, like DM us, like whatever you want, scenarios, topics, like your story, definitely like DM us. Like anything that shows anything like to do with support, like we already love you guys from just following us. Like we haven't even announced like why we're recording this. We actually haven't announced our Instagram, like I said before, and we've already got followers just from people seeing it on the suggested, and that just gives us so much like confidence and hope that like you guys are gonna love it. So it's so exciting. I'm so excited. But anyways, that's the end of our third episode.
Cheers, guys. Suddenly 20s.
Suddenly 20s. Woo!
Finish my drink.
Step skulls. Fucking bye, bitches, and fuck all you fake hoes.